Welcome to globaletraining.com. Globaletraining.com offers online courses covering various software technologies. New courses are added on a regular basis. You can email us at training@globaletraining.com or you can call us at 732-588-6564. Hello everyone, welcome back to the video series on vbscripting. In this video, we will look at arrays. What are arrays? Arrays allow you to store multiple values in a single variable, and that's what is array. So we'll look at a single dimensional array and a two-dimensional array in this video. In a single dimensional array, let's say for example we have a list of friends John, Peter, Mike, Sam, and Jimmy. And when you declare as an array and use these values, they get an index value of starting with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see there are actually rows 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So your index always starts with 0. 0 is the very first element, which would be your first row if you were to look at as a spreadsheet or list of things. The first element, and it would have an index of 0. So in order for us to declare an array, this has an array size of 5, but when you declare, you use the index, which say you want to say that, hey, I want an array with a syntax, and you would say 4, and it would technically create an array of length 5. And again, that's an index on the left hand side, and we would use index to assign values to a specific element, and also retrieve value as well using the index. And we'll see all that using examples. Next, we'll look at two-dimensional array. In a two-dimensional array, we have columns and rows. See here, two columns, 0 and 1. Then we have rows here. Against 5 rows, again, the index starts with 0. Same with the column, the index starts with 0, 0 and 1, and here from 0 through 4. So in this case, the array, when you declare, in your syntax, it would be 1, 4. 1 represents column index, the very first one. Next represents your row index. Same as what you have seen before. When you're saying 1, you're actually meaning you got both, two columns, and then number here indicates the index again, maximum index, meaning maximum index plus 5, that many rows. So similar to the single dimensional array, we use a way to get to a certain element within this particular array. Say for example Mike, it's always a column comma row. So to get to Mike, it's actually the index of the column is 0 and the index of the row is 2. So we would use 0, 2 to either assign a specific value to that position or to retrieve whatever that is in that particular position. For now it's Mike. Say for example, to get mangoes, similarly it would be the index of the column, which is 1, and the index of the row, which is 4, 1, 4. So with these two basic concepts, we will kind of review a few scripts and understand arrays in a much better way, in a practical manner. And one last thing before I close out here, in terms of whiteboarding, the top portion is the lower bound, and here at the bottom this is referred to as an upper bound. So in a lower bound, it's always 0 as an index, and upper bound is the size that represents the size of the array. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at scripts. Okay, enough of theory. let's look at actual scripts to learn more on arrays. Okay, here is our first example script. Here we already know about option explicitals. I'm going to skip all that. Here declaring an array with the syntax of array name, and I'm giving the size of the array as 4. It's technically I'm saying the index as 4, and when it comes to the size, it's always array upper bound plus 1, 4 plus 1, 5. So that's a syntax. So you're actually saying that, hey, create me an array with the name arr nums with a size of 5. That's what it means here. And then let's keep this constant. It's a constant variable I'm going to use here in the script. And next, so I have declared an array of size 5, and here I'm assigning values for those elements. So as we know, the index always starts with 0. So I start with 0 and went all the way through 4, and then I said, I'm assigning, in each case, in each line, I'm assigning a value to that particular element. So it's from 0 through 4. That's a value assignment. And then I'm declaring another variable called num1. And here, look at this. Num1 equal to, I'm assigning something, and this something is array nums index 1. That is nothing but this here. That's the second element in the array. So this effectively gets the value of 200 and assigns it to number 1, num1, which is another variable. So I'm going to use a message box to display num1 value, and then also directly use arrays as well to display values. So this first line here, the message line 34, here I'm saying the value of num1 is all the text and saying num1. So num1 is getting an array element of index 1, which is 200. So technically this should display a value of 200. And the next two lines, this is again array num1 index, so it should actually come, 200 should come here. And then I have, this is a little, let me correct this here, correct it to 3. So this is just a text, so you can really put whatever you want. I'm just trying to match this with this. So here I'm saying the element within index 3. Within index 3 it's 400. So we should see 400 here, and we should see 200 here. So let's run the script. I'm going to save the script. As I told you, you can use a command prompt to run the script, or you can directly double click the file within your file system. So I'm going to use a command line here. This is our script. Okay, I'm going to run the script. So I have a message says value of num1 is 200. So it actually read the value or retrieved the value of that element using that index from here and displayed it, because we assigned it to num1. Value of our nums1 is 200. Same thing. We know that the element value is here 200. Next, array nums3 is 400. Again, that is because this index or element, has value of 400. So that's how you assign values to the elements in the array, and also we retrieve values using the index. And the one key thing that you all have to remember is the index always starts with 0. So let's move on to the next script and understand two-dimensional arrays. So here I'm going to skip all this. It's all comments and options that we declared. So here we declared a two-dimensional array, and we use the syntax 1, 4, meaning 2 columns and 5 rows. And this is how it's the value assignment is kind of the same syntax. It's except that you would use appropriate index values to assign values to appropriate position. So here, it's for this first set of 5, the first number is 0, that is column 0, and this is the row index number. So column index, which is 0, representing the first column, and these are the row index numbers. So whatever you assign here, it would be John, Peter, Mike, Sam, Jimmy. It will be in vertical order. And the next set, as you can see, the first number is 1, the column index is 1, meaning the second column. And again, here's a row, so it will be John, next to that it will be apples, and then bananas, grapes, oranges, and mangoes. That is similar to what we have seen in the other video, the spreadsheet that I showed. It's the same thing, but here we are representing it with an array syntax. Now let's go ahead and run the script and see how this is executing these statements. So the first message, again, it's a message box coming, says that John likes apples, coming from line 36. And John, as we know, it's here, which is 0, 0, and look at here, array fair fruit 0, 0. So that's retrieving the value from there. John likes, and you have a fair fruit 1, 0, 1, 0 is apples. I mean, you can practically pick any element here and display. Just trying to demonstrate the fact that you can retrieve the elements using this particular syntax. Next one, again, John likes apples, different syntax, and Sam likes oranges. Sam 03, 03 here, and then 1, 3 here, which is 1, 3 is here. So that's Sam likes apples. So that's how you use two-dimensional arrays. It's very simple. You need to know how to declare it, then assign values, and use it for your business logic, and primarily whatever you're trying to achieve with the script. So let's move on to the next script and look at resizing the array. Say for example, here in this case we have an array declared ARR. By the way, this is just you're representing that it's an array, that there is no need for you to put ARR in there. It's just a standard best practice, so you can use it. So I'm declaring it here, and then I'm saying, hey, this is my dimension. I haven't indicated the size here, right? There's no number there, but here I'm saying redim array friends 4, that means 5 elements with because the index starts with 0, and then I'm assigning value for each of these element for all 5 positions. And then in line 28 I'm increasing the size of the same array to 9, meaning 10 elements. And the keyword that I've used is redim and then followed by preserve. What preserve does is I'm sorry, it will preserve these values which were declared before, and then it will just increase the size to 9, which means 10 elements. So we preserve the values, increase the size, and then we assign a value of Tom to an index of 8. Then here we are trying to display the values. Number 4 coming from before we increase the size, we assign a value to this index 4, which is Kenny. That's what I'm displaying, and then displaying 8, which was assigned after increasing the size. So we'll run this script a couple of times and play with this preserve and see its impact. So let's run the script. So what I got is Kenny. It's coming from line 33, which is an index of 4, which is Kenny's here, which is correct. Okay, and see Tom here. Tom is index of 8, Tom works really well. Okay, now let's see what happens if I drop this preserve keyword. So if we kind of look at the script, we declared 4 values. Now we changed the size, but we did not preserve the value. So technically we would, in a way you might expect that, hey, have an index of 4, let's display that there. You might assume that Kenny will come there, but since we did not preserve, all these values will be gone. Anything that is after this declaration will be in the memory. So let us run the same script one more time and see. So this message is actually coming from line 33, and it's saying that display an element value with an index of 4. But even though we see that it is canny, but we increase the size. When we did this, we effectively lost all the declarations that we applied before. That means we lost all the values. Only value that what we have is for the index 8, and if I do OK, I get Tom. It was declared after increasing the size, so you still have the value there. Again, if you ask me what's the best practice and all that, it all depends on your script. If you are trying to reinitialize the whole array with all blank values, then you might as well drop preserve. But if the situation requires you to preserve the value, so make sure that you use the keyword preserve, and that should take care of your situation. Okay, that's about resizing the arrays and using preserve to your needs. Okay, let's move on to the next script. So here we will look at kind of assigning values to an array in a different style, using a different syntax. Here I'm declaring an array here, ARR friends, and then I'm saying, I'm declaring a variable, and then I'm saying that that variable is nothing but an array using this syntax. Now at this line 20, then the VB is going to use that variable ARR friends and convert it into an array and assign these values in the order in which you keyed in. That means John would get an index of 0, and Peter would get an index of 1, and so forth. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are about 6 elements here. And then what I'm doing is I'm increasing the size, and also I'm preserving at the same time and increasing it to 10. Now then I'm assigning 8 index value of Gary to the index of 8, and then Kelly to the index of 9. So with this, I'm declared an array with some values, and then I'm increasing the size and assign a couple of values here. So 4, 5, which was done prior to resizing the array, and then 8, 9, which is after the fact. So let's run that. So I get Kevin, number 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, Kevin, that's right. Then I got Tom, which is correct, number 5, Gary, which is 8 here, and Kelly, which is 9, 9. So yeah, this script, I'm just trying to show you that you could actually, declare an array in a different fashion. So that's this script. Let's jump on to another script which talks about splitting a string and converting that into an array. In this script, we are going to take the string www.globallytraining.com, and we're going to split this using some sort of delimiter and kind of convert that into an array. So here we have declared a variable called ARR title1, and ARR title1 equal to, we're using a split keyword, and using this we're trying to split a string, and that's this one, which is site label 1. So that we are splitting this using the delimiter dot, meaning wherever you find a dot in there, it's going to use that as a separator and use whatever is found. Other things will become elements, meaning because dot is separating these two, you can call it words. So www will become one element, and globally training will become another element, because there's a dot right after that. So it's going to use dot to separate that string into multiple small elements or small strings, and use that as a value to assign to the array. And all I did was I split it, and I specifically did not assign any value to array elements, but this automatically does it for you. And it does it in a sequential order, meaning this would be a first element, this would be a second, and this would be a third. So let me go ahead and run the script and look at it. So as you can see, I'm getting www, that's from line 23. It says our ARR title 1, 0. 0 is the index 0, that's the first element, and within the string, that's the very first one. Next you get globally training, that's here, that's index of 1, and then com. So we got www, then we got global, then we got com. This this is a very handy way of converting strings into an array, and you will definitely, I mean, this definitely comes handy in writing some logic in testing or even in programming purposes. But as testers, this will be really handy to convert a string into an array. Next, let's look at one more last thing around arrays, which is join. And join is where you will pretty much take an array, and you can practically take anything in any specific elements you want and convert that into a string, or you can take the whole array and convert that into a string as well. So for example, I have an array declared with an index of 2, meaning the size 3, and I assign values of dub to index 0, globally training to 1, and com to number 2, which is index 2. So I can take these 3 words or elements and convert that into a single string. So I'm declaring another variable called site URL, and then I'm saying site URL is equal to join, and then I'm saying taking the array, I'm just using the array variable, as you can see, and then I'm saying putting a dot in there, meaning it's going to take each element, put a dot in there, and take another element. So but it is going to start with index 0, so whatever is in that index 0 dot, then index 1 dot, and index 2, and that's exactly what I'm displaying here. Let's run the script and see. The output is www.globallytraining.com. So that's how you join. Again, this is also one of the things which comes real handy depending on what you do. And I've seen real good purposes for this in testing and also in application development with vbscripting. Okay, well, that's it about arrays, and I will see you in the next video.